I've tried and reviewed a lot of flashlights over the years, and we're really spoiled for choice on good lights at this point. Most of the time when I check out a new light, I'm like, yeah, this is pretty solid. I like it, but there's not always something major about it that stands out from so many others that I've tried. But ever so often, I try a light that changes how I engage with the rest of my lights or makes me rethink something about how I'm using my flashlights. The right kind of light makes me use a light for more things. The Armytek Wizard C2 Pro is definitely an example of that for me. It's a light I've gotten my hands on recently and I've used for about 3 weeks now. I've owned a few headlamps over the years, but honestly, all of them were at one point or another sent to me for a review, and I rarely used them afterward. The Wizard C2 packs so much into its design, though, that I've incorporated using a headlamp into my day far more often. Sometimes when I'm washing dishes in the evening, since the lighting above our sink is not ideal, or other times as I'm walking around between tasks. Even when I'm cooking occasionally, because I have one of those cooking hoods and the lighting around it's okay, but sometimes the extra light in the CRI, which I'll talk about a little further, just really actually I find helpful, surprising. It's nice if you're just wearing it for a few to open a closet door and not even need to flick the switch on because you can see everything, or I can pick up my tools, some of my son's toys that he's left around in the yard when it's dark outside and not worry about it, especially this time of year when it gets dark so early in the day. I've always been a fan of Nichia LEDs since the first one I used many years ago. Their shorter throw distance versus options like Osram or Cree is, to me, irrelevant in a headlamp where you generally would want a floody, shorter range output anyway. There's a lot I could say about how a high CRI light or color rendition looks to your eye, but even in a very non-technical sense, I would say put the color rendering index aside. A warmer beam, to me, is something I've always found more pleasing to the eye than a very cool beam, especially in cases if I'm going to be using that light for a while and not like a brief light something up kind of deal. In this case, the 4500 Kelvin is very balanced to my eye. When I've used the headlamp for cooking, like I said above, the light detail is very akin to real sunlight, giving everything like a realistic look, more so than a cool light. The best way I could think to describe the difference for someone who hasn't seen a high CRI light would be this. Things look basically as they are in regular lighting during the day, as opposed to a thing that is lit up by a flashlight, if that hopefully makes sense. It's a distinction that not everyone is going to find valuable, but in my case, I can say that some of my favorite EDC lights have been Nichia LEDs, and apart for like a dedicated thrower, I think this kind of light has become my default. If you've used both warmer and cooler lights, what are your preferences? I would love to hear that perspective. The magnetic tail cap is handy for attaching to metallic surfaces while you work, and even to a desk or to rig components for directional light for filming or photography. I've used it for all of those things. It creates a lot of interesting possibilities that I've not had with a flashlight before. Although, every so often, that magnet snags on something else nearby when it's on a desk, and it can be a little bothersome if it keeps grabbing nearby things. Armytek also provides a belt holster, so you can remove the pocket clip and wear it that way as a work light, or use the pocket clip for a front shirt pocket or a backpack strap. Or, of course, you could slide it in the headband mount. A lot of headbands are designed in a way that that's really all they're good for, making them a specialized tool that it's nice to have, but probably not something you'd be using every day. The versatility that they've given you here is very nice, and with both a great looking output and the excellent run times provided by the 18650 battery, this is a fantastic everyday light as far as I'm concerned. I've got some footage here walking around my backyard in different modes, but I didn't make this a focus in the video because in my experience, both in videos I've recorded over the years and made by others that I've watched, the camera never really gives an accurate representation of what the light is doing. The beams never appear to shine as far as they look to your naked eye in real life, and the flood portions, every time I've looked at my footage that I've recorded, it always seems like it's not casting light as far than what I'm seeing while I'm recording it, and then I'm like, well, this kind of stinks because this light might be, I might be commenting on it thinking, yes, this mode gives you a wonderful spread of light around you that's very usable. You could light up a really good area, and then the footage isn't really driving that home. While I generally share other sentiment about not preferring a rechargeable light that uses a proprietary charger, I would still rather have some external mechanism for that rather than none. None as in I would have to unscrew the tail cap completely remove the battery and use a dedicated charger each time. In this case, Armytek has provided a magnetic snap-on charging cable for the tail cap, similar to what Olight has done on a lot of their lights. Charging completes in about 3.5 hours if the battery is pretty depleted. In this case, it's important to note that you need to do a quarter turn to unscrew the cap for it to charge, and then tighten it back up when you're finished. It won't charge if you have the cap on tight. That part is a little weird to me, but it's not that big of a deal. And of course, if you don't like that, you could always just remove the battery and use your own charger each time. Because of the good run times that you have on this light, it's not like you're going to be charging it every 5 seconds anyway. The headband is lightweight and comfortable, and the light mount sits flat against my forehead with little pressure. I've had several evenings recently where we had a campfire and I kept the headlamp on my head for hours at a time, even when it was off. And then when I would get up to get some firewood, it was simple to just flick it on and have all the light I needed. It never felt bothersome or uncomfortable during those extended use cases, and it fits over a beanie okay with no issues in the colder weather. The price when I got it was $95. It's still far less than some advanced headlamps I've seen, but it still could be a little pricey for some. For the build quality, excellent beam, and nice mix of included accessories, though, I think it's a pretty good value if this is in your budget. I've definitely seen cheaper options out there, but often those lights involve a sacrifice in something that you would get here, such as they might only have the option for a very cool-toned lower detail beam, or worse battery, or no options for external charging, or it was a headlamp only and can't be removed and used for anything else. So it might sound funny to be excited about this, but the button pressing on this light is excellent. There's enough resistance to, well, resist being accidentally pressed to a degree, which, when it could be a pocket light, is important. But it also feels smooth, and it has a soft click with no wobble or squishiness like some lights have. All the little details like that make this feel like a very premium flashlight. You can find this light on Amazon with various sellers or from Killzone Flashlights, where I received mine. The folks over there are very nice, and I like the heads up they give you about certain shipping methods and some carriers being weird about lithium-ion batteries. I like that they've gone out of their way to explain that for anyone buying from them so that there are no surprises and that you can have the best shipping experience you could. I look forward to sharing more with you about this in future videos, but for now, that's pretty much what I have to say. Hope that's helpful for you, and if you think of a question while I've been talking that I didn't address here, put it down below and I'll do my best to answer it. Catch you next time.